Welcome back to the show. Today we're really excited to bring on a very well-known Notre Dame alumni. Uh, his face speaks for himself. We see him play football. He's around campus these days. Really excited to talk to you. We got Reggie Brooks here, former running back. Reggie, tell us a little bit about yourself. We're excited to have you on the show, and let me pass it on to you.
Well, Ted, I work working back here at the best, most beautiful campus on the planet, University of Notre Dame. It's been a little weird. Campus is closed, and it's been pretty much like a ghost town, but it's still, been beautiful. The weather's been pretty nice here. Notre Dame is always nice weather. We all know that. It's always sunny. But no, the weather's been great. Again, just working as assistant athletic director for the University of Notre Dame. Work a lot with our athletic alumni and engaging those individuals, and just making a point of trying to keep them connected. And again, to build that Notre Dame family, and that's something that was near and dear to my heart and was very special for me coming to Notre Dame, was that Notre Dame family, and it's shown bright for me over the course of my career. Both professionally and professional athletics, but beyond professionally in the different aspects of life. So I just thought it was a great opportunity to give back to a special place that's given so much to me. So I'm married a little over 25 years to my college sweetheart. She actually went to Notre Dame. She was a year ahead of me. We have 5 kids, 29 to 9. So we actually spent our 25th anniversary in Italy, which was absolutely gorgeous. So
congrats.
Got to do a little bit more of that, but it's hard to get away when you have, a 16-year-old and a 9-year-old. They tend to actually, I trust my 16-year-old more so than our older kids. Kind of going out of the country without them was tough, but we had a blast. So I'm actually will be transitioning away from Notre Dame and moving to Hoach's Heroes at the end of the fall. So after this football season, I'll transition to my new role with the Hoach's Heroes Foundation.
Congratulations.
Congrats. That's awesome.
Yeah, congrats. That's such great news. That's so cool. What a great organization.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I mean, it's a great opportunity to connect with some of my old teammates, but also our focus is going to be, building that community within a small segment, if you will, of the Notre Dame athletic population, but more so about making a difference in our local communities. We've partnered with Bold, Bread of Life campaign, and we've done a lot of work there. Little Nat.
Sorry, little guy comes in.
No worries.
These are the problems of trying to record.
Family first. I mean, again, if my 9-year-old was here, I couldn't imagine what she'd be doing right now. Yeah. But it's important that we, connect and engage, but more importantly, give back to our communities. And the thought is to do it in a more cohesive manner. So, we got about 350 Hoach's Heroes guys, but it's not just for those individuals. This is open to all to support that group and then the support things down the road. So it's open to all because we want this to be a legacy of the love, trust, and commitment which Coach Hoach said, instilled in us while we were at Notre Dame. We want to maybe spread that years to come, and also for our children. I think that's that legacy. Part of that legacy is passing that on to that next generation.
Yeah, we've been blessed because we've had a couple of folks on. Joe is our first guest, Delaney. And then he was working the food drive out in Staten Island, the virtual one. And then Kyle came on a few weeks later. And I think right now they're at about 90,000. So they extended the campaign. Their goal is 100,000, but we're here supporting them and everything that they do as well.
That's been great about, having, what's one of the things I've been able to do within my job is connect with a lot of different Notre Dame clubs around the country. So, and those relationships that you build and connections that you make are pretty powerful. And Matt is out in L.A. I worked multiple times with the L.A. club and also the Orange County club in terms of some of the things we come out for the USC game. And we tried to find different ways to kind of, build that community, because it's hard, as I've been told multiple times by the West Coast crew, it's hard to get back to campus. And so it's important that we take campus to our constituents across the country. And, that's one of the toughest ones, because we very seldom have any athletic events out that far. But when we do, we make a point of trying to connect with our athletic alumni. And, San Diego, the San Diego club was another one we connected with out there when they had the game against we had the game against Navy. That felt like a Notre Dame home game. They had a pep rally. That was insane. That was insane.
That was a fun game. I went down there with a group of friends, and we're lucky when we get extra games out on this side of the country, so we try to make it when we can, for sure. Good way to meet up with old Notre Dame alumni that live on the West Coast. You're always going to get a different, fresh crew of people showing up, which is fun, or the same guys from locally out here that are here too. So you get people traveling, plus people that live in the different areas. It's good.
We had a good crew come up from the Arizona, a couple of teammates. Irv Smith is there, Nick Smith. So nice. They came up, and it was good to see them. We had a good contingent of former players from especially the West Coast area, which was, amazing, just the support that we get and that community that's out in the West Coast. We got to do some more to make a way to get out west more often.
Right. Well, maybe now's a good chance to bring up, I think you had mentioned, and sorry, my son's, as you can tell, working from home these days. And, so I got a little distracted from what you guys were just speaking. I'm sorry for interrupting you too. But so sorry if I'm saying something that you already was just mentioned. But if, the Monogram Club is something that we're going to be talking about, right? And the different work that you guys do for the Monogram Club. And mention it now here early is a good chance for us to put the URL up and ask people to go take a look and donate and help out where they can. So maybe we should jump right in there. And also, it's a place where you talk about the athletic community and the former Notre Dame athletic community out there. You guys doing stuff for the athletic community, which is pretty cool, because oftentimes we're talking about the athletic community doing stuff for everybody else. But this is kind of seems to be, I'm sure you're doing both, but it seems to kind of be a very important mission to take care of our former athletes, something that is very personal to me, having been good friends with some people that I've been concerned about, post NFL career, that I'm also looking forward to talking to you about later on the show too. But yeah, the Monogram Club stuff is great. So we'll make sure to flash that URL up, and we would love for you to talk a little about it.
Well, there's a couple of different things, because like I said, we're actually in the middle of a rollout, if you will, of new initiatives. We just did a survey of our Monogram winners across the country, and we're always looking to find a way to engage that group more and be more effective and create that that community. And one of the things now, we're solely a part of Notre Dame athletics now, so we're not necessarily a standalone group. Nice. But the beauty of that is that by being a part of Notre Dame athletics, we're tightly associated with the Rockne Fund, Rockne Athletic Fund, which I was surprised that very few people knew about. People hear about the Soren Society, President's Circle, all these other giving societies, and Rockne was always kind of the forgotten one, and it's kind of had a resurgence because of the connection with Notre Dame athletics and the Monogram Club. And a lot of the initiatives that we do, like you said, when we come out to bring the Monogram Club to our members outside of campus, it takes resources. So, but the beauty of it now, you can actually donate to Rockne, and it goes, either you can assign it directly to a sport, or you can say, hey, I want to go to the Monogram Club, or you can be unrestricted. And right now, because of the COVID situation, resources, financial resources at an all-time high in terms of need, because again, Notre Dame did not solicit, during that time, which was, a purposeful thing.
Right.
But again, we lost a lot of revenue with the basketball situation of, not having the basketball tournament. And we have 24 varsity sports that we support. And then, the scholarships. And actually, I'm actually the sport administrator for the track and field program. So, and that's one of the beauties of being a part of Notre Dame back in the athletic department. I have the opportunity to engage with the coaches from the different sports and hear what their needs are. And, it gives us an opportunity to kind of redirect that information to our alumni. So it's not just, you don't have to be a monogram winner to support the initiatives of the Monogram Club or the other sports. If you're a fan of Notre Dame, if you're a fan of a particular sport, go to the Rockney, the Monogram page, and go to the Rockney Giving Society, and you can, donate in any amount and to whatever sport you choose, because it does go back to support our student athletes. And, a lot of times people say, well, Notre Dame makes all this money. And it's like, well, the majority of those dollars go to financial aid. And that's one of the things I'm proud about with Notre Dame is that, when you donate to Notre Dame, when you donate to Notre Dame athletics, you're supporting the university, because we're a partner with the university. Not most athletic departments that kind of solo and, they kind of do their own thing. No, we are lockstep with the university and the mission of Notre Dame. And, I think we do a great job of managing that academic balance, but also the, Catholic social teachings. That's important. And that's even more paramount now with the situations that we're experiencing in our country, the importance of equity and, fighting injustice around the country. And again, that's what Notre Dame is all about. And, we represent that through the Monogram Club and Notre Dame athletics.
Great points.
Yeah.
And good that you brought that up. How has that affected your guys' group in terms of social equity, and how have they addressed that to you guys, both, the leadership and you guys individually, both in the Monogram Club, but then also in Holtz's Heroes?
Well, I've sent out a video. You can find it on YouTube, the Monogram YouTube channel, really talking about that, because I had an experience when I was in high school that was pretty traumatizing to some degree. But again, back then you just, you sucked it up and kept it moving. So I never really spoke about it. But, now I look back and say, that was kind of a disservice. And I look at our young student athletes and how they've spoken up on their social media feeds and really stepped up. And I'm not talking about just, the Black student athletes, but our white student athletes have been very supportive and very vocal in their support of their Black teammates to say, hey, this isn't right. This shouldn't be. And I was just talking to a few guys, Oscar McBride, who's out, in Orange County, Tim Brown, different guys that I've spoken with. And, you kind of reflect back on some things and said, had we maybe been a little more vocal and said something sooner about the experiences that we experienced, not just, as in high school, but also, one of the things that I still get mad at myself about is when I see a, police officer, come, if I pass one, there's a level of tension, because there was, where I was from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and it's a pretty segregated city. And that was one of the things that, you talk about over policing. I remember, in high school, got stopped. I wasn't even driving, and, they stopped us for no reason, put us in the back of the car. and was kind of, I don't know if they were joking or not, but they made some references to taking us out into the woods and getting rid of us. Yeah, it was like, oh, what the hell is this? And and because the thing that really kind of stuck with me is how the dynamic changed when they found out I was going to Notre Dame. This is my senior year in high school, and this is, not too long, a few months or so after, I'd signed to go to Notre Dame, and I get this, whole change of, oh, you're going to Notre Dame, and it's like they didn't see me as this, thug, because I had actually, again, total disclosure, I had a warrant out for arrest based on traffic tickets that I didn't pay. And, they were like, well, we don't want to have to do the paperwork. And I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. They were joking. But, I've seen some stuff happen, growing up, and, how police aren't always there to, in support of the Black community. And I remember another incident when I had just turned pro. This was after my rookie year, had a really good year. And so I went back to Tulsa, me and my wife. I actually had my car shipped back to Tulsa to drive around. And I let my dad take it. He was driving around in it. And within a 10-block radius, he got stopped 5 times.
Holy shit.
And, for no reason. And again, and they basically said, we just like, wondering why you were driving this car. And it was a, white Lexus coupe, and again, driving while Black. And that was, and again, within a 10-block radius, he got stopped 5 times.
Unbelievable. I mean, not unbelievable. I hate to use that word because that's not, I completely believe it. It's just so extreme, and so it sucks.
The irony of this is, we're forced to talk about it now. We had a show last night where, I told a few experiences I had, and a lot of people didn't know. And a lot of the things that we go through, we, like you said, we keep it moving because we're taught to be strong. We have to, withstand any of the things that, we go through. A really important thing about this is it's allowed us to have that platform to talk about it and, address it. And I think that's very important. And thank you for sharing that. Just, it's important. And I think what we're doing, the work that collectively everybody's doing in supporting and being a part of is key in order to address these issues and make a real change. So thank you for that, Reg.
Yeah. And besides needing to talk about it and wanting to also not have this just be a moment and make it sure that it's something that persists after this. But we've been dealing with kind of how do we handle this as we have this little like quote unquote show that we're doing and we've recorded episodes, but now we have this kind of big event coming. It just doesn't feel right to keep moving forward with the episodes without acknowledging what's going on and making it part of what the mission is that we're doing, because it fits right in with the mission of the show. So we kind of had this little pause of kind of where do we go next with this, and how do we handle, like, it just seems silly to put out an old interview talking about coronavirus with all this that's going on in the world. So we kind of sat and talked through it ourselves last night, and we went on for a couple hours, and the three of us, you have a surprising different dynamic when it comes to politics, and we're going to try not to get into it too much here, but the one thing I think we agree on is that, like what Trevor just said, that the opportunity, the stories that are coming out, it just are so important, and hopefully the change, it's not going to come right away, but at least it's going to make a big change as these stories keep coming out, and we just continue to shine a light on all that injustice.
Well, except from Hoaches Hero standpoint, we actually had a call with our Hoaches Hero board on this topic, and Coach Oates is on there, and we were able to air some things through each other, and it was really cathartic, and and it's kind of you hear your teammates say, "I didn't know," your white teammates. It was like, and that and I think it's important to that we be vulnerable, because that's something that's taboo in our society. Men are supposed to be strong and virile, and I think we need to dispel that rumor or perception, and be vulnerable. And the number of calls I received after I opened up from teammates, classmates, coworkers, and it's important that we have the uncomfortable conversations, because the more you have them, the more you can understand and get a better perspective of what a teammate, a classmate, a friend, a coworker is going through. And it also helps, like I said, for me, it was nice because it was something I tried to push off into the back of my mind, and because it was uncomfortable for me to feel like, man, I'm just, and I would just ask myself, why does the color of my skin just, breed contempt and hatred in some people? And and I've always tried to be, cordial. And one of the things I said is like, when you, and this goes for black or white, when you see something and don't say anything, whether it's a small racial dig or have those undertones, them, but you're with your friends, you don't say anything, and what does that do? That you're complicit. And I know many times, like I said, you hear something at work in passing, or at a function, and you just kind of keep it moving, as opposed to saying, addressing it and letting them know that's not right, and that's not acceptable. And again, you don't have to do it in an aggressive and attacking manner. And a lot of times, like I said, you'll find that individual was like, when they stop and think about it, say, oh man, you're right. So making people aware, being vulnerable, and having the conversation, it helps, because that's the important factor, is that start seeing people as human beings. And I know with like athletes, you can be seen as this entity, this commodity, and you're not really viewed as a person. And I think that's when we can humanize each other, because even like I said, as a black man, I've not humanized police officers, because I was taught to fear them because of things that happen. There's definitely some justification for the fear, but until you have the conversation and learn and meet the person, it creates, or it de-escalates the situation, because when people see you as human, they're forced to value their own humanity. And that's when we can have some dialogue. Again, we're not going to always agree. We're going to have disagreements. But when you approach it from just a basic human dignity perspective, you get much further in that conversation. Because I got teammates and friends that I know that we differ politically, but that doesn't mean we can't have a relationship.
The thing about speaking out when you see these injustices, I mean, I think the Catholic way to see the world that Jesus taught is to see everybody as individuals and value people as individuals. And I think, I'm glad to see people speaking out against racism. And also, if I hear more speaking out against things like, the war on drugs, and militarization of the police, civil asset forfeiture, no-knock raids, qualified immunity, like all these issues that are major issues really of, the state versus individuals. And so, I see these as the main, systemic problems that we all face. So I don't know, but I took your message of speaking out to heart, Reggie. It's an important message in these times.
Yeah, it's been. I mean, I have to keep reminding myself, because I'm not and people laugh when I say this. I'm not a extrovert. I'm not an outgoing person. My job requires that, and it takes a lot out of me. But I do value people, and it is I have to tell myself every time, speak up. You see something, say something, and not in a vindictive way or attacking way. Because one of the things that happened with the Hostess Heroes conversation was, I got to see my old teammates in a different light. And letting them process what they didn't know, and and say, well, how is this happening? And it was, in several guys, it was legitimate, shock. And we've kept those conversations going. We're going to continue to keep those conversations going, and and then identify ways to go back into our community and be a ally, an advocate, or a mentor in our individual communities, but doing it in a more collective manner. So we have guys across the country that have status, that have a name and name recognition, and we're going to be active in our communities, but also safe, because that was one of the things that I've not participated in a protest, mainly because, again, I have 4 members of my family that have asthma, and I'm very concerned about not so much me contracting it, but passing it on to my family with weakened immune systems. But at the same time, this is a great opportunity to kind of share my message and my story, and and support this movement, and speak up to try to change direction from where our country is going, to make it to make it a better place from our children, and don't saddle them with the same prejudices and short-sightedness that we endured over our time. It's time to give that next generation an opportunity to set things right. And it's I think this COVID situation has really opened the eyes of a lot of people, and to see we can't continue business as usual. I mean, you think about this: we have a pandemic and a moral crisis all at the same time. I mean, that's just mind blowing.
And how have you addressed with your kids? What have you told them? Conversations have you had?
Oh, well, like I said, people hear about this. I've had to talk with, especially with my 2 boys. Well, they're men now. But how to respond to officers. And with my daughters, and like I said, my 16-year-old, we've had some pretty in-depth conversations just in general, because she's gone to predominantly white schools all of her life, because she was in private school, Catholic school. So when this past year, we transitioned down to Texas. So my wife and our 2 youngest daughters are down there, and she's kind of started to see how it was to be around more people of color, and actually have teachers of color. And it's been a shock to her system, and how things have changed. So her perspective is definitely different, just because of the dynamics that she's dealing with now. I mean, she was like livid when we were making the transition, because she's a sophomore. She's a junior now, but in the middle of her sophomore year, I mean, she fought us the whole time going down there. I miss my friends. I'll go back. And now she came back, visit her friends for a little bit, and she was so ready to go back to Texas. Like, it's too cold up here. But also, it was, in talking to some of her friends, she had some difficult conversations herself, and it was encouraging to talk to her about, how are you addressing things with your white friends? I mean, because they're still friends, and and she's spoken out and talked to her friends about, because she has a few friends that have made some comments about other, her male black friends and black female friends, and she was like, "No, we're not going to do that." And it blessed me immensely to see her stand up, and it wasn't just, "You're not going to do it." She did it in a way, again, in talking to her, it's like, you have to give people that space to change. And you can't just, you got to change on a dime, otherwise you're done. And I think that's where, we lose people and lose potential allies and advocates, is when we just write people off and don't have that conversation to see, get a broader understanding of their perspective and give them a broader understanding of yours, and see, hey, there may be common ground. And again, there may not be. But if you just automatically just shut someone down, you never give them that chance to make amends. Because you got to understand, you have people that have never been around people of color. So their first time, and I said, guys we played with, that was that was one of the things of hearing their stories. Like, I had never really been around black people until I got to Notre Dame, which is crazy considering Notre Dame was predominantly white.
Right.
For that to happen, and then to be, you have lifelong friendships to this day. I mean, guys that were literally from the hills of Tennessee are buddies now, some 25, 30 years later, because you go through an experience and you get to know the person, and not just, oh, well, they're, this is the kind of white guy that they are because that's where they're from. We label people so quickly and discount individuals, and it really, it does a disservice to yourself when you do that, because that was one of the things that, because coming from Tulsa, I was very much, anti-white, because I was like, I'd never really had any good experience with white people, growing up. And coming to Notre Dame, I was thrust into a situation where I was forced to, if I was going to make it, I had to learn to build some trust and build some relationships. And that has been the driving force for me. And now we're having a little more courage to speak up because of some of the things that I've heard. And Trevor, you talked about, what is the leadership said and from Notre Dame. Jack put out a good statement addressing to the student athletes the importance of, again, speaking up. And again, it's not yelling, it's not pointing the finger. It's just speaking up and saying, I don't agree with that. I don't think that's right. We need to find a different way to communicate and a different viewpoint, but do it in a way that's respectful and also compassionate, to allow those to say, hey, was this wrong? Was this statement that I made? Look at what happened. Drew Brees, again, his perspective was off. He missed the boat because, again, he made the assumption that kneeling during the presentation of the flag was disrespectful to the country or the flag. And that was not what it was until I had someone gave him educated him on that.
Yeah.
And that's the other key aspect too, is educating ourselves, and educating ourselves on our history, the history of this country. And, the more we learn, the better we become. And it requires us to learn and take perspective outside of our bubble. And, and that's what you get caught in this political bubbles, you get caught into your socioeconomic bubbles, you get caught into your racial bubbles, ethnicities. We have so many ways that we've divided and sliced ourselves, and instead of just saying, well, hey, I'm this, I'm that. Let's just start off with the basic concept. I'm a human being. You're a human being. Where do we go from there?
Right.
Very important message.
You went easy on Drew Brees there too, because to sit there.
I did purposely because he was don't get me wrong, he was wrong.
And well,
but it's not allowing him to be. Again, I don't know the man.
Possibly changed. He's at least coming out and saying some better stuff.
Well, again, it's actually there's ignorance there across the board. That again, it's ignorance of his choosing.
Absolutely, because at this point of his career, to be able to sit there with all of his, I mean, I guess I get very defensive because we one of our good friends, we hung out with a bunch of athletes back then too, but one of our good friends who's come up on the show a bunch, David Givens, like one of my best friends in the world. We all love him to death. Watching him play exposed me to how extreme the racism is in specifically professional football, professional sports in general. And one of the places that I wasted way too much time of my life is arguing with people in the comments section of different financial kinds of articles about athletes and stuff. And so in order, I guess that just leads me to say that in order for him to be the quarterback of a team where his teammates are dealing with that game in and game out, and also to have been told infinite amount of times about that it's not about, even the military, all the different military people to come out and tell people that they support the kneeling because they support the movement and it's not about disrespecting the soldiers, to be that tone deaf at this point is a little extreme. But anyway,
again,
I'll say it. I won't make you say
bubbles.
Yeah.
His world.
Yep.
That's his world.
Yeah.
And right or wrong, that's his world. And again, he's been exposed, and he got lit up, and rightfully so. That's the thing about it, is but now instead of
his apology had an apology.
Yeah. But instead of, like I said, focusing on his apology, let's talk about what are you willing to do to correct ignorance.
Yeah.
So it's how do we move from education to execution of correction?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we won't know that until we see how he lives going forward.
Right.
But because you got the blind ignorance, and then you got some that are just, you will for ignorance versus just plain ignorance because they don't know. It's and like you said, he's been around a long time. It's certain things that he has got to be conscious of. But you'd be surprised at how many people, and this is, black, white, or the other. We are so segregated in so many different ways now. It's not hard to see someone that is tone deaf. I mean, Vic Fangio.
Right.
Wow. Again, there's no racism in the NFL. And that's a whole nother story of a situation I went through with the Washington Redskins, which was,
oh God, Snyder, was it Snyder then, or no? Was that pre-Snyder?
No, this was the cook.
Okay. God, it could only been worse. I can imagine it being worse than sounds like what you dealt with.
Yeah, I mean, again, and it just, you got, and understand the ownership perspective is like they own you,
Mm-hmm.
and that's their thought process. And the NFL, it can be very, very rigid in its perspectives. And now with, like I said, the social media, a lot of this stuff is coming out, but it was always there.
Yeah.
Now it's just being exposed. And, let's be honest, with the whole deal with, the statement by Roger Goodell is like, let's think about this. Like I said, what did they get? The collective bargaining agreement that was just passed. What are the owners, what are they getting?
Right.
So let's not piss the players off.
Right.
We want that extra game that's going to generate X amount of revenue. And this is America.
Mm-hmm.
And the dollar speaks loudly. That's why you have a lot of these corporations speaking up and speaking out, because and this is where, again, Black people need to be more conscious of their dollar. And I don't want to dwell on this, but coming from Tulsa, Oklahoma, that was a city of the Black Wall Street, 1921, where the Black community, and this is, like I said, before the Depression, Great Depression, they had an economy where the dollar stayed in the community, circulated in the community for a week or two.
Wow.
And, they had barbershops, they had doctors, they had theaters. I mean, a pretty much contained Black economy. And because of racism, segregation, slavery, Black people in Tulsa, they were cool with the segregation because they were fine. Well, the white neighbors were suffering, lack of employment. They actually bombed the city. They bombed this portion of the city. And that's another key aspect of, the racial dynamic in our country, is the lack of education of the history of our country.
Absolutely.
And, and Adam, you brought up a good point about the, the qualified immunity. I mean, we give our police force carte blanche to do whatever they want. And they can't be punished.
Right.
They literally can't be punished. So, and you got to think how, because part of the people that were, that bombed, that was the government and the police force in Tulsa. They were lockstep with, the KKK. And that's what I said, when we don't talk about it, it's like, hey, this happened. This is real.
Yeah.
But so understand, if you don't acknowledge the past, you're not going to be able to change where you're going. We talk about the social justice and these aspects of, where we want our country to be. We've got, and I'm so hopeful and prayerful that we this time take a legitimate look and look for legitimate change. Not, hey, let's pacify a few people to, make this go away.
Well, Reggie, what was I'm not familiar with that story about the bombing in
Tulsa.
Look up the 1921 Tulsa race riots. And this is, again, this is my point. Even now, why is Black history only
It's whitewashed from our history. It's whitewashed from schools. It's whitewashed from schools. It's like, I think all of us here, we cared about education. We went to school. We did a lot of work to get to where we are and where we were in our education and stuff. And I pride myself on reading outside of the curriculum to learn about history. And I've got a whole slew of books that I love that are about like alternative history. And I still feel like that Tulsa story doesn't get nearly the shine it does, even in those kind of secondary books. It's a travesty.
Well, again, it's nowhere in any textbook, and
is it in pop culture anywhere? Is there any way you've done a movie or a show on it? Because it sounds like a right for a series on a streamer. Or something.
A classmate of mine from Tulsa, they have he did a docu-series. I don't know if it was a docu-series, but he did a documentary on it. But you can actually look it up, and it's out there if you. But again, it's not something common because. Tulsa is not a big city.
Right.
It's not a prominent place, so it's easy to forget about. But I mean, you look at how they were self-sustaining in that community, and Tulsa still has not recovered from that, especially North Tulsa, from that just devastation of that community.
And the state was involved in that though too, huh?
Yeah, sheriff's departments, and and it all started because of, again, a lie. They said formulated a lie that a young black boy raped a white woman in a elevator, or assaulted a white woman in an elevator, and out of that lie, they pretty much destroyed a whole community, and over 300 some people died. It was pretty devastating. I mean, it literally devastated that entire community, and I still feel Tulsa is not as a prominent of a city as it is today because they refuse to even build the city back up. They only build in half of the city, or 3/4 of the city. There's a whole section in Tulsa, Oklahoma, that is just almost non-existent.
Yeah.
Get the word out, and it's something we want to support, and anything we can do to help support your city, we'll do here.
But the beauty of this show is it offers an opportunity to speak on some things that aren't widely known. And again, how do we get that info? Because I'm a big advocate on we've got to get, we talk about American history, and it doesn't deal with the history of the Black American. It is completely European focused, and we do ourselves a disservice when we don't incorporate the history of our entire country. Native American history.
Yeah, all minority history is right now in a way. I mean,
Asian Americans.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
People that said the concentration camps they had right here in the United States for Asian Americans after the bombing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
they don't teach our kids that.
I do think it's kind of interesting because I think one of the tricks that repeats itself over and over in history is the state pitting different groups against each other. So they're looking at each other and blaming each other instead of looking up and looking at the oppression of the state against individuals. And I hope that doesn't happen again this time.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why it's so important to keep having the conversations and having those conversations with those individuals that think differently from yourself, and getting their perspective, and not, hunkering down and I'm right and you're wrong. The more we can understand, where someone is coming from, and offer, just saying, hey, so you feel this is okay. And a lot of times when you present it in a way that puts the onus on them actually thinking, and really being conscious about how this goes. And I think, I'm hoping that's kind of what happened with Drew Brees is that, because again, he felt comfortable to say that because who's contradicted him before now?
Right.
And that's the thing about it, is that's the importance of continuing to speak up and not allowing, falsehoods to continue to be propagated, and that's where, again, even like I said, people talk about, the Democrats are this and the left and right. And, you talk about over-policing, a large part of that came under Bill Clinton.
Absolutely.
And they used to call, people would say he was the first black president, and it's like, no. And it's like, we have to think.
Yeah.
It's so often, and let's be honest, Trump could give a rat's ass about poor people.
Now we got the first orange president.
Again, and my whole point with him is you had a lot of, like I said, the working class white, poor white people were struggling just like poor black people, and they thought he was going to, help them. He's out to help himself.
Yep.
And that's the sad part about it is, he promotes this image of I'm here for the little man, and he's not.
Right.
Not. It's only for self-gratification, and that is so anti-American.
Yeah, absolutely.
In what America is supposed to be.
And right now it seems like a choice between him or the guy who was the architect of that crime bill under Clinton.
Yeah.
I mean,
and you want, I said, and that's something that I talked to my oldest daughter, because this generation, they just
get a reset.
No, they won't go. And again, and they're not okay with just, we'll take the lesser of two evils.
Yeah.
That is not this generation.
Right.
They want what they feel they're owed.
Yeah.
And it's like, Biden is again,
pathological liar.
He's a politician. I mean, and Trump just lies because he's not even a politician. He's an opportunist.
Yeah.
And again, if he'll say whatever is going to benefit him.
Yeah.
But I mean, and you got to ask, which is worse? Someone that will tell you the truth and is as heinous as you can imagine, or someone that will tell you a lie and then come back and undercut you back behind your back. Yeah. That's so. I think it's that's so. What we're going through is so important that we, in our communities, we've got to step up and help ourselves.
Yeah.
Because we cannot rely on politicians again. And I'm not telling people don't vote, but it's just as important to make sure that your local representatives, because we got to take our communities back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had that same conversation with my uncle. He tried to. I'm like, listen, I'm gonna sit this one out. And he's like, Trev, we fought so hard. He's like, your uncle, because my uncle are really close with him. He passed away about 10, 15 years back. He's like, you having him rolling over in his grave. I'm like, listen, I don't like where we're at. Why do I have to choose between two people that are bad?
You're saying exactly what my daughter and John say, and it's hard to, dispel what they're saying, what you're saying, because it's true, and it's like, it just continues to propagate, and I think with this movement, there's an opportunity.
Yeah,
and we can't rely on the president or the former vice president to correct this. It's going to take work.
Yeah.
It's going to take collective work on our part to, again, just starting by seeing something, making that correction, and holding our local politicians to the fire, the mayors, the city councils, and saying, this is not right, this is not acceptable. And don't get into a narrative of, well, don't spin me.
Yeah, no.
That's what we got to stop allowing to happen, is spinning. And it's a lot, because when you think about all the things that have accumulated over the years, there's a lot to unravel. But it can be done, because we're 4 people from 4 different states. What are the needs in our individual states? And then identify people that we know in those communities, in those cities, band together and correct, because every city has its own needs. Identify what those needs are, put a coalition together, and correct it.
There's definitely a few metaphors that come to mind. You're only as strong as your weakest link, right? And or like, also I feel like it falls into like these new like nanotechnologies that like you can build these really stronger like shields or forces by getting this nanotechnology in there. You gotta fortify the like from the smallest level. And coronavirus ironically showed us that pretty like right in front of our eyes, the importance of local communities, I think. Pretty quickly, right away.
Forced to rely on each other.
Yeah. I mean, we were starting to think about, I was like, we're going to have to start farming, we're going to start, which is not a bad idea. Like, I mean, like there's this like, in our neighborhood up here, I'm like pointing, like you guys can see it.
I'm done. I got a tomato plant that's done.
There's this open land.
It's looks like this right now.
Know your strengths.
Well, I live in California.
Hopefully my wife doesn't watch this, but she actually thinks she has a green thumb. You don't need to be doing that. Right. I love you, but that is not your forte. But I agree. I mean, we actually here in South Bend, there's a local garden, a community garden, and I think those are great. Like I said, you get out there, with your family, pick some weeds, and teaching them something, a valuable skill, and then you're in the community. You can have a couple of tomatoes and cabbages, and you go in there and plant something, and it's something about that getting your hands dirty and being a part of the earth that just makes you feel a lot better about yourself.
Yeah. I think there was a lot of stronger community bonds that were formed during this time, and maybe the protests are a sign of that, that people were wanting to get out and get and fight together in order to like make a change. I don't know, but at the other side of it, I feel like possibly we missed a little bit of an opportunity that was presented to us to really build stronger in local communities, because we were all on these Zoom conversations and we were all just catching up on their TV or whatnot, but we got to do the hard work.
Yeah. I mean, I to some degree, I'm okay with Zoom to a degree, because it's been beneficial to be able to connect with some people. Absolutely. We didn't get a chance to connect with, but also hear, different perspectives from different parts of the country, and it's to collaborate. I'm a big fan of that interpersonal, face-to-face connection. But I just look at this, like I said, hey, I may not be able to get to, North Carolina, but hey, let me connect with Archie Denson, who's in South Carolina. Let me connect with Brian Young, who's in, North Carolina. Hey, is there some opportunities? And get those guys connected and develop, okay, what are the needs for your community? Talk it out and say, hey, here's some opportunities. And then also here's someone else you can connect with that's in your local government that can help you facilitate something. So, I think, Bread of Life that's been a real blessing, because, that it's all over the country. Yeah. And again, the need to support our community, like you said, through, food for individuals, is huge.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you see these lines and, people that don't have, and it just, your heart goes out. But to see that, hey, you are making a difference, it's uplifting. And, so when we get through this pandemic, we got a game plan. We have a roadmap to what we can do to affect meaningful change.
It sounds like the Notre Dame way.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Well, hey, I don't want to steer us off topic. I mean, we could talk this stuff forever, I think, and it's been really great, listening to you and learning from your perspective, and we've been able to glean some real gems here, and reminding ourselves to kind of just to stay the course, and to maybe make some of the hard changes, to speak out, and to not allow injustice to stand when you see it, right? But also, should we move over to can we talk some football? Can we talk Notre Dame a little bit? We've been on here for a while. I don't want to hold up too much time. Also, I don't want to lessen the message that we've been putting out there either. So I don't want to necessarily to leave it at that. But maybe it's not the right time to talk about silly Notre Dame stuff. Maybe it would have to be for a future show. But
well, again, it's which team hadn't got back yet. So hopefully we'll get back next week and can get and start the preparation for the season.
Right.
So I will say this, like I said, hopefully Ian Book comes back healthy, because he's pretty important, because I don't know what we have behind him.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I want to talk your football career too, man. You had an incredible career. I mean, I'm more interested in your career. You played some incredible games.
Rookie Reggie Brooks blew the Eagles away. Over the left tackle spot, breaks it across. There he goes. 20 to the 30. He's gone. If anybody can catch him, he'll get a block. He's at the 40. Touchdown, Washington Redskins. Well, I knew he was 85 yards. 85 yards in your face, Eagles.
You had some legendary moments. All-time Notre Dame records. Also, I'm interested in hearing from your perspective, who are some of the greats that you remember watching play too, because you played with some amazing players as well, both at Notre Dame and in the pros.
Oh, one except that always jumps out to me is Gale Sayers.
Oh yeah, Chalk Jayhawk.
Yeah.
I mean, he was silky smooth. Could never run like him, but he was. I mean, that was one of. I mean, other than my dad, he was one of the reasons I wore number 40.
Okay, cool.
Just phenomenal player. Career cut way short. I mean, he was so explosive and ability to stop and start, change direction. I mean, he had it all. I can only imagine that he had, a full career, another, 5 or 6 years. How many records he would have broken.
Some of those kick returns that he had and punt returns were just some of the best.
Yeah, electric. And speaking of returns, I said rocket.
Yeah.
And it was always so. I remember in practice. I mean, when I was playing defensive back, I kind of fancied myself of kind of knowing what I was doing. So I would, challenge myself. I always wanted to challenge myself. So I would go try to do one-on-ones with Rocket.
And you had that Texas-Oklahoma little rivalry too.
He would take a step forward, then step back, and then and gone. I mean, it was weird because, like I said, who goes backwards as a receiver off in a route? But I mean, and he was ridiculously strong to be as small as he was. He was not. He was maybe 175, 170, but man, he was one of the strongest guys I've ever been around, and just just a phenomenal athlete, ridiculously fast, and just a good person. So,
nice.
I mean, in terms of offense guys, those are the two that jump out to me.
All right.
And who was the hardest hitter that you faced on the other side of the ball? Oh, he's shaking.
This is like toward the end of his career too.
I'm sorry. Did you say Ronnie Lott? Is that what you
Yeah.
said? Okay, I didn't hear it. Okay, nice. Okay, of
So
course.
this is
Oh,
my
wow.
rookie year. And what's crazy is, like I said, you know, my rookie year, I'm facing the Eagles. We had Byron Evans, that ridiculously good defense. The Cowboys, when they had Charles Haley, Darren Woodson, you know, and then New York when they had LT, Banks, Reasons, and then we played the AFC East and had to play Buffalo. So Cornelius Bennett, Bruce Smith,
Gauntlet.
and then the New York Jets when they had Ronnie Lott. So this is my rookie year. So we're playing New York in RFK, and man, so all week long, you know, again, running back coach was in my ear because I would, like I said, you know, again, I would run the ball, and like I said, every now and then, if I'm by the sideline, I'm not going to take a hit for just taking a hit.
Yeah.
Out of bounds, and, you know, we wind up being like 3rd and short. He was like the week before, and like the next week, all week in practice, he's in my, come on, Brooks. Don Bro, Coach Bro, he was on my ass. Come on, get that extra yard. You got to get that extra yard, Brooks. And so it was like a second and 8 play. Boom, jumped up inside, jumped to the outside, and I saw the down marker, and I was, you know, and I saw Lott coming, you know, at an angle, and it's my fault. I half-assed because I was hearing Don Bro in my ear saying, you got to get the extra yard, but I'm seeing Ronnie Lott, so I can just step right out. It would have been 3rd and 1.5, 3rd and 2, you know, but we could have got that. So I said, oh, the hell with it. I planted and then just kind of barely went back like I wanted to kind of go for the extra yard. Oh, my Lord. He literally wiped me off the planet.
Yeah.
He hit me so hard, and I'm over on the, like, dang near on the bench, hit me so hard. And I couldn't feel anything. I think it hurt, but I couldn't process it. And like this trainer came over and he was asking if I was okay. I wasn't responding and they were getting nervous. But I wasn't like out of it. I was just lying there like contemplating life.
Just give me 2 minutes where I can just
I just need to process what just happened.
Did you get the first down?
No. I did not get the first down. And I run into Ronnie Lott in the off season at a function or event. And he was like, I got to give you props, rookie, because I thought I killed you. I didn't. You know, again, your pride swells up. It's like, yeah, I took a hit from Ronnie Lott.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that again.
No. Oh man,
that's
epic. I mean, you can't really say a better guy. I mean, that's like a first team all NFL safety, pretty much the hardest hitting guy ever, right there.
It was. I mean, he like threw his. The next guy would probably be John Lynch.
John Lynch.
When I played against him at Tampa, and you know, he used to piss me off because in practice we'd play inside run and we'd have our inside run periods, and he's safety. He'd come down. He'd try to knock you out. And I don't know if it was a Stanford Notre Dame thing because we kind of put him on the map when he basically just won a one-man wrecking crew when they beat us my senior year in '92. I still haven't forgotten that. But, you know, I mean, he would, like, knock himself out hitting people.
Right. Man, we laugh now, but we know how serious that is, too. I mean, it's no laughing matter these days. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, again, I mean, you know, with Notre Dame, when I got knocked out, that was just I went back in the game. I finished it, and the whole left side of my body was numb.
Do you find yourself having to deal with a lot of injuries to this day, or how's your body been holding up?
My low back is pretty much the biggest, the main issue, which it's an issue. But I've been blessed, like I said, because I know guys, like I said, Jerome, he actually finally got his back surgery, and because I remember, like I said, I would, after games, when go home to sleep, I would have to be propped up with pillows in different parts of my body because you're basically literally black and blue. And, literally you roll over and wake up screaming because you rolled over on something that was bruised. And then, you spend the whole day Monday in the training room trying to get ready for the next week.
And getting filled with meds and getting shot up with
I would never allow it. I never got shot up. My mom was a nurse, and I was squeamish about taking aspirin.
That's what I was gonna say. You don't even take aspirin.
No, I mean, like I said, I would just at night and trying to not wake my wife up so she could actually get some sleep. Because I mean, she basically took care of me like an invalid almost. After the games, I was just so beat up.
Bringing up the inshore.
So it was definitely a brutal game. Took its toll because again, once you got banged up, you were never 100% for the rest of the season. That was what the off season was for. So that first, month in February, March was literally just trying to let your body heal.
Yeah. I saw it firsthand with Dave, not to keep bringing it up, but it was just one of my experience with the NFL. And he had a career-ending injury when he played for the Titans when I was there. And I was there at Dr. Andrews with him when he had surgery, and it was literally just me and him. And I feel bad now on the funny side because you're talking about your mom taking good care of you. Meanwhile, he's had my ass there helping him. You probably wanted anybody else there that would be a better nurse than me.
When you're banged up, any help is you'll take it.
Oh yeah, and it's just seeing the pain and the struggle and that the post game carnage it'll change you. I mean, like it really does. I mean, I wasn't going through it, so I mean, I'm just seeing it. It makes me just question the league a lot. I question the NFL a lot about some of the stuff that I saw then. But
well, again, it's guys were willing to do some, different things for $1. And again, your value is wrapped up in a sport. It's tough, and again, that transition. That's one of the other things that is important to me at Notre Dame is some of the work that I do is through the Monogram Club is the transition from professional sports. Psychological needs that you have, and just when you transition from college to the pros, it seems like someone's always after to get you. And that was the one thing I never wanted our pro athletes to experience is that, I remember the first correspondence I got after I left Notre Dame was asking for money. And I'm like, that should never be what our athletes, that shouldn't be the first experience. So one of the things we do is, like I said, we do a gift bag to our pro athletes. It's not a lot, but it's saying, hey, from the AD, thinking about you, just know your Notre Dame family is here for you. And also opportunities to, create, internships to help you with that transition and just kind of identifying some mentors in the business world to communicate with them to kind of help. Because again, that pride in identifying the things that you don't know. Because one of the things that really I struggled with was the business side of the NFL, and again, not wanting to feel like I didn't know anything. I didn't reach out for help and take advantage of the different networks that you had at Notre Dame. And that's one of the things is just the more, and you think, well, they're pros, so they're fine. No, a lot of times the pro athletes need more. And this is not about money or job. This is about purpose. Because when you come from, that's all you've done is football, you don't have a lot of work experience if you've been in the NFL for, 7 to 10 years. That's all work experience you never received. So it's, helping them during those down times to have some perspective of, think about some things that you like to do, job shadow, go, communicate with your, NFL is a business. They have a ton of companies that they work with, both locally and nationally. Reach out and say, hey, I have an interest in this. And some teams have better, they're called player development individuals, and some are better than others.
Right.
But they help you kind of identify some of those things in the off season that you could benefit from. But it's people that you need someone that cares and is not trying to get something from you, because that's the toughest part of it is everyone's coming at you with an angle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because you signed that contract. You got the attorney fees, you've got the management fees, you got your agent fees with taxes. Yeah, you bring on $3 million
in every state you play in.
Yeah,
and when you're and again you're coming 21, 22 years old.
Yeah.
You're not an accountant, not a real estate agent. It's so much that you don't know. You're not a lawyer to write up a contract, and you're relying on people that may not necessarily have your best interests at heart, or their interest. Their interest is contingent upon them getting you signed, right, versus, hey, well, if I get them this gig, I'm going to get this percentage. And that's the, beauty of, like I said, reaching back to university is like, there's no contract there other than, hey, we talk about it at Notre Dame, with 4 for 40, 4 years, we'll be there for you 40 years down the road. We're focused on honoring that.
Well, Reggie, I think that's amazing. I mean, I think having a mission, no matter where you are in your life, and getting that focus and making a positive difference in the world is so important. But that must be so hard for a professional athlete like that. Like, how did you find that transition to find your mission to be doing the positive work that you're doing, making a positive difference in the world like you are today? Because not everybody who is in that situation finds that path.
And a lot of it is, again, the mistakes that I made, and just the connections that I had. So when I transitioned out of the league, I'll just tell you a story. So after my first year, boom, I killed it, was all rookie. And so going into my second year, the Redskins used, and so, most teams, they're very family oriented. So you got people that are in the children of the owner that are in head of marketing, head of promotions, and all the different finance. And the grandson of the owner was over the PR department or something. And he used the image of me, because this is actually a collective bargaining agreement, that you could not use a singular image of a player without compensating them. And so, and I didn't even know about it until my agent, my marketing guy came to me and said, hey, they use this picture. And instead of, saying, hey, just, you can't use that, said, well, hey, we'll work it out and you give me a portion of money or something to that effect. And they didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Like, don't, just be glad that you have a job, basically.
Hmm.
And I actually went into the president, who was the owner's son. So the owner was Jack Cook, the president was John Cook. And, we're in there and we're talking. He's, saying, hey, let's just, don't worry about it. And, I'm like, it's not a big deal. Just, compensate me for, market value, whatever. It's not, I didn't think it was a big deal of it. And he got upset and, called me a boy. And I was like, whoa. And so I let him have it. And ever since
Good
that
for you.
period, well, yeah, to a point, because
I
we'll blackball.
Right. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Again, it's this feeling that they own you. And it was crazy because, again, I didn't play that. I played very little, sparingly, that second year.
Right.
And then the third year, they wouldn't trade me because they wanted to make me sit. And so I really got down. I mean, you're talking about I lost so much confidence in my capabilities because I actually had coaches and other players on the defense asking me why I wasn't playing. So I would, practice all week and then get to the game. You get to the game, I would be on the non-dress list.
That's crazy.
Holy
Yeah,
cow.
it was.
I got chills. I always wondered what happened to you at that time, Reggie, because it doesn't make sense on field.
Yeah, they tried to say I was injured. I found this out after I went to Tampa that they said I was injured. I was a troublemaker in the locker room. And I mean, this is all stuff I found out when I got to Tampa. I thank the Buccaneers so much because I was not the same person when I left Washington. And a lot of it is because, again, it was just, they'll promote who they want. And they can, blackball who they want, and that's why I feel for Colin Kaepernick. Again, if you cross the wrong people, you'll pay a price.
Give. I mean, let's keep talking about Dave. They hid his injury. I don't know if you know the whole story, but they hid his injury, and then the NFL Players Association was complicit in not signing off on the deal. It's the craziest story. I won't waste your time with it, but maybe one day we could talk about it off the show or something, because I think the two of you guys have a lot in common, actually, when it comes to that.
And like I said, that was one of the things that for guys, like I said, and I've been trying to. So I definitely want to get Dave's contact because I want to, let him know again that his university cares, and that's been the biggest focus and transition for me is making sure our pro athletes know, all of our former student athletes, but in particular our pro athletes know, hey, this is not Notre Dame trying to stick you up. This is Notre Dame that cares and that genuinely wants to see you succeed and be there to help you with, connections, building that network, and helping you transition and continue to benefit.
Right. Cool.
Well, so Reggie, though, so that's ridiculously horrible what you went through, and yet, like, here you are doing awesome things today and making a real difference. Like, where did that transition happen?
I would say after I got released from the Buccaneers, went back to Tulsa, and I was in a horrible headspace. I have to say it really started with my wife. Christina has been my rock. I mean, she literally basically kicked me in the ass and said, "Get up. You got to do something. This is not you." And, when your identity is wrapped up in a game, it's tough to transition to something else. And, I've tried to, play for a year at the NFL Europe, tried coaching, and then I really figured out, I couldn't coach because I can't stand people that don't want to do nothing. It's
no
like,
patience.
Yeah, no patience. And, so, but it was a connection that I had with Notre Dame alum, two of them from Tulsa, Bill Warren and Ray Siegfried, that really kind of helped me get back on my feet and recover. And, and again, it was just, these were, two individuals, like they graduated back in the 60s and, early 60s, early, late 60s. And, that showed me the power of the Notre Dame network and like people that legitimately care.
Yeah.
And so that was a huge part of my transition to coming back to Notre Dame and being a real advocate for the upliftment of our student athletes and being there and to be a support. And it started with, again, my wife and then two individuals that really, I thought two white guys, old white guys I thought was just in it for me to go play football. And that was not the case. These were two individuals that legitimately cared about me and my family, and it made a huge difference. And I still have a great relationship with Bill Warren, Siegfried kids. So you're Siegfried. So that was, that's named after, and
Right.
I know the family, and said they're still back in Tulsa, but still family friends. But it's, when you show people you care and you step outside of yourself, and that helped me to open up because, again, I've always been kind of closed off. And so, that really kind of started the ball rolling for me to say, hey, you can't sit on your hands and, wallow in self-pity. Step up and, don't worry about what you're going to get. Focus on what you can give. And that's kind of been my focus here in the last 18 years. Is, let's look to give back and not focus on what I can get.
Amen, man. That's beautiful.
Yeah, Notre Dame, the school's really lucky to have you back there, man. With your experience and with the way that you speak, you're going to make a big difference. And I'm sure you already have on countless athletes and countless students. But it makes me proud having you back there at the school, having someone that has that experience, because we need people that have been through the stuff like that to really be able to get to the kids today and let them know how it's going to be. I don't know that's always the case, so it's nice to know that is the case in this one.
And that's one thing that's refreshing too. I've seen so many stories of people that have gone to the NFL maybe a year early and have come back to the university to finish their academic career. That's been something, no matter how long it's been. It's refreshing to see, and I think is your leadership too. So thank you for that.
That's been a thing. Like I said, reaching out, and that's another thing we've been focused on is reaching out to guys to get them to come back and finish. I got to give a shout out to Trisha Belia. She's a faculty athletic chair. Quite as it kept, it was not easy to come back and finish at Notre Dame. I mean, it was downright hard, and we've actually had a few players, both football and basketball, that finished elsewhere because it was so difficult to come back. And she has made a huge difference in getting credit. I mean, you would lose credits if you didn't stay connected and stay involved academically, and bang, they're starting over. And she was able to recover several individuals' credits to where now there's kind of a process of leaving early. So you're communicating with the guys that are going to leave early, and hey, here's the process to come back. and it was great to see Jalen Smith finish. Josh Adams just finished this year. He and
Saw that.
Cornerback. Oh gosh, Julian Love.
Yep.
Ricky Waters, he finally finished.
Nice.
And Matt Reilly.
Yeah. I went back and I've experienced exactly what you're talking about. I actually did enough.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. I walked graduation, and then I ended up doing this class in LA that I didn't want to pay. It was this whole convoluted story, but I didn't want to pay the money for they said I could be a local in LA, and it was history of classical music. It was like I had taken like 20 credits over what it was due, and yet I had switched degrees. So like these more higher level math and science credits were not counting towards anything. So instead I had to go to LA City College and take a history of classical music class that I ended up not paying for. And then years later, I got great help from the university in order to go online and do and they didn't even have I think I was actually the first one. I think I was the first former Notre Dame student to be able to go back and get credits on an online program. Actually,
wow!
Going to the record books. I was told that, at least. I don't know, but
no, online is not it's not very prominent. Yeah. I do know that.
It was great. I was in Cambodia and Thailand on a film, and I was doing class. Yeah, and one of the classes I took was a history of the Vietnam War class out of Boston College, and it was an incredible class to take while over in Southeast Asia. It actually had an extra impact on me. Plus, I was older, and I was like, did so much better at school. I wasn't like trying to go to a party every 5 minutes.
And that's it, and this is, it's a few guys that I've been working on to try to get them to come back and finish. And, it's amazing what life experience will do for you. I know when I said I went and got my master's in sport administration from Ohio U, I was real like, man, all these young people, man, early on, I was just nervous because it was like, man, schoolwork, I don't know what I'm – and I wound up graduating with honors.
Congrats.
And a lot of it is, like I said, just common sense and life experience and the level of maturity made such a big difference.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, I slept through most of my classes at Notre Dame, chemical engineering. I had the balance position like this.
So I got a funny story.
Right.
Back to the NBA a couple of years later, and it just dominated at Villanova. But
nice.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something about growing up a little bit. It's you care.
And that's not to say we didn't learn the first time around either. We just learned different lessons.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's called them degenerates.
Yeah. So I had this teacher. His name was Carl Ackerman. He's our econ professor, and like it was bad. It was like 5 o'clock in the afternoon after all day. I used to go to his class with a bag of M&Ms and an orange crush. Head up in the back of his class,
sugar
rushing it through. But he was the most interesting teacher. Like, so I forced myself to learn, to listen. So he's got this thing with a lot of the friends that we had in school. So like my one friend used to always fall asleep. He sent him a pillow like 2 years after graduation. So one day, maybe 2 or 3 years after graduation, I get this big package in the mail. I'm like, what the hell is this? I open it up. It's like a 5-pound bag of M&Ms.
Wow. So thoughtful.
And one of our like our good friends through the offset, but one of my friends is Pat Theismann, Joe Theismann's son.
Oh yeah,
he came to the wedding. Carl Ackerman did, and he brought the bag of M&Ms.
Nice. Well, I said that was one thing I said. I know, taking the time to visit I said getting to know the professors. They were like pretty cool people, which. Like I said, I still have great relationship with the professors on campus. And that's, like I said, been a plus for me is like, I try to tell student athletes, hey, I don't even care if you don't like the class, fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
But if you show the interest, the professors will work with you. That was one. I mean, I always said Notre Dame, you had to fight to fail.
Oh yeah.
You know, because they're going to. I mean, you know, the support was there, the commitment. You know, and you know, just when student athlete doesn't quite make it, just put in a little extra time. You know, go talk. I remember going and when they had the old university club, they had the professor would go and have lunch. I'd go grab lunch with the professor and be like, chat him up. Because you never know.
Smart.
Yeah. Hey. Rub elbows, man.
Yeah. Last time they wrote the book that you're studying out of, they wrote it.
Yeah.
Right. Well, hey, we used to play a lot of video games. We had a little Tecmo Bowl we used to play back in the day, right, Adam? We did the Notre Dame dorms. The only place you could play a 30-person Tecmo Bowl season, like back in the '90s. We were like originators on that. I'm from Kansas City, so I was the Chiefs with Derek Thomas. And Adam, I remember, was the Bills. We had some legendary games. But now I know are you still good on the sticks? Because I know you're the original Madden Bowl champion, 2-time Madden Bowl champion. We're talking over here.
No. Okay, this is crazy. It says so. I won it twice, and then I was supposed to do it third year, but my wife was just like hated the game.
Yeah,
I mean,
my wife hates them too.
But that's the kicker. Is like the year that I decided not to play. The prize for winning was round trip tickets to Paris.
Oh,
yeah.
So she still hasn't lived that down.
Wow.
And she just hammered me. Oh, grow up. And literally, the time I don't play the game, and the guy that won, I destroyed him the year before.
All right. Oh, so she's probably upset too. She would have been in Paris with you.
Yeah, that's why I make a point of telling. Like, you could have been to Paris.
Yeah.
That was way before video games were getting anybody anywhere too. So you were like going to be the original video game pro with that kind of win.
No. Actually, I would love. I always played with myself. That's kind of
Of course. I mean, I said of course. I never had that opportunity.
But I used to like wear people out. I mean, because I would play all the time. But now at Notre Dame, love playing hockey.
Yeah.
All right. Nice.
Love the hockey game.
The Nintendo NHL hockey, or like we're talking EA, Sega, like EA Sports was back then, right? Yeah.
And my boy Eisenman.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
DVY.
That was a great game. That was a really great game.
We'd be up like me, Jerome, bunch of guys. We'd be up to like 2-3 in the morning.
Yeah.
If it wasn't Madden, it was NHL.
Yeah.
Who was your Tecmo team?
See, and that was saying
or Madden
how to play with. You couldn't play with the Raiders.
Yeah, I know, because Bo Jackson was illegal.
Yeah, and you couldn't play with the 49ers because Jerry Rice.
Right.
So I would usually go with the Cowboys. It's sad to say, but I grew up a Cowboys fan.
Oh, yuck.
Well, I read that story. You almost ended up on the Cowboys too, right?
I was, believe me, I was like dreaming. So when I had a personal, the Cowboys came back and did a workout with me, Rick, Jerome, Irv Smith, and a couple guys, came back with just the Cowboys staff, came back to campus and had a workout. I killed it. I just knew I was going to be a Cowboy. It was like, they had a guy at my house. We was back in Tulsa. I was already prepped to, hop on a flight, and it's like 25, 30 minutes from Tulsa to Dallas.
Yeah.
And, I talked to Jerry, Jimmy Johnson. I'm like, yes. And I grew up a Cowboys fan, so I just knew I was going to be wearing the silver and blue or whatever.
Right. There's a couple things that come up there. Emmitt Smith came soon after that, or
No, Emmett was already there.
he was already there. Okay.
That was a
I'm
year.
messing up my time. Okay.
Emmett was holding out that year too.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I would have
wow.
got to play early because he didn't
Right.
play. So we played.
And you would have played behind or with in front of him, or I don't know what you. Who knows?
Yeah,
You might have earned that spot pretty easily, knowing how you played.
It was. I mean, and that offensive line was just ridiculous.
Oh yeah,
Right.
I mean,
across
Larry
the board.
Allen, Nate Newton. They used to destroy.
Oh
people.
man, you would have been sipping margaritas back there, man.
Oh,
Everything happens for a reason.
I was a Bud Light guy back then.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice. So did the Redskins scoop the Cowboys then? How did they
Literally, they picked me. They picked me. The pick. So the Cowboys had the last pick in the first round, and the guy said they were in contact with their whatever the guy that was at the house. And they said we're going to trade down, but you'll still be our first pick.
Right.
And literally the pick before the Cowboys were going to pick me, the Redskins called. And I'm thinking it was the Cowboys when I got the call, and it was Coach Bro. I'm like, who?
Oh, man.
And so I'm looking up at the guy from the Cowboys, and he's like, oh, this is not the Cowboys?
Wish you had caller ID.
He's like, no, I'm not answering that.
Yeah, clear.
Dude turned beet red that was at the house.
Huh.
Because he was on the phone with the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And
so did that tarnish your, probably at the time, the most exciting moment of your life, or one of the most exciting moments, or?
no, I was still drafted.
Yeah,
I
cool.
I was excited.
Yeah, all right, good.
I did not see that one coming. I did go to they did bring me to the facility to work me out and run me through some tests.
Okay.
I really didn't think nothing of it because I'd never really heard anything after that.
Right.
And literally the Cowboys brought dang near their whole staff to that workout. So, and I killed it. And I just this is it. And the whole family, because again, it was a 4-hour drive from my house to the Cowboy Stadium. So it was just the family be able to come down, watch me, and it was just going to be great. And playing with the team that just won the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
life was good.
Yeah,
and it was oh no, we're going to play their arch rival.
Crazy. Well, everything happens for a reason, right? So
exactly.
You never know what would happen there. So
exactly.
I often try to tell myself the same thing.
If life is too easy, it wouldn't be interesting.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, easy shit.
Got to throw in the wild card every now and again.
Yeah. Well, we've gone on for a long time. I could keep going and forever. I really appreciate you giving us all this time, Trevor. I don't want to hold you all night. We've been hours and hours. But Trevor, did you have another question you wanted to get in there, or what do you think?
Reg, most memorable moment at Notre Dame.
Yeah, good call. Good call. We got to get a Notre Dame story.
It was the it was the Penn State game, but it was not the catch.
Okay, we had that call.
Yeah, it was on the drive to the catch because that was a cold game. Yeah. And during one of the TV timeouts, Aaron Taylor gives me a big bear hug to warm me up. And I was
wow.
AT, that's my man. Yeah,
all right.
You're talking about brothers for life. So
cool.
I did want to say one last thing with regard to the Monogram Club. I didn't really talk about our Monogram Career Network, which is on Irish Compass. And it's kind of a career mentoring program that we have where we connect Monogram winners with current student athletes, but also Monogram winners with other Monogram winners in different industries. And it's unique to just Monogram winners, but you can also connect with other alumni outside of that. But we have a space on the Irish Compass platform specifically for our Monogram winners to commune and come together, and it's a pretty good deal. It has a job board, which I think again that's pretty interesting, and providing resources to our student athletes, as they transition from, being a student athlete to, next career. And that's whether you are pro or you're moving into another field, a profession outside of professional sports. So it's something, again, that we're really proud of, and that has really grown over the years. And now we have a dedicated platform to promote, the career portion of our the business that we do.
That's a great cause. That's a cause that actually I'm going to try to put a little more time in learning more about it. And if I can ever be any help to you here in LA with stuff out here, I'm more than happy to. All right, great.
FTT is a fast-growing major for a lot of the student athletes.
Right.
Actually, I have a young lady. She's on the track team. She's with Fighting Irish Media. But Indy Jackson, phenomenal young lady, African-American student athlete, was a thrower. She's from Detroit. And again, she is, doing great things. I'm a big fan of hers because she did a great job of, promoting the track and field program.
Nice.
But she did a kind of a mini doc. I have no concept about film.
Okay.
My daughter does, but I'm clueless. My artistic skills are minimal, if that. So I just know, again, that's been a big push for a lot more of our student athletes are majoring in film, theater, and television, or film FTT. So
FTT, film, theater, and television.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, please don't be shy. Reach out. I'll, any way I can help. I usually have better resources that I can push them off to, depending on what it is they're trying to do. That can really help them. But absolutely, I love helping people in the network, and especially for this cause, because as I mentioned with talking about Dave a lot, it's a cause that means a lot to me. I mean, that he was just always so good to me and to everybody around him at that time when he was going through that, and just the best guy in the world that. Me and a bunch of people want to give back to him, and I imagine there's a lot of athletes and a lot of people in part of that Monogram program that have been through similar situations that would be nice to give back to them as well.
We have some cool stories from different, but it's amazing when you can find that second win in terms of a career as an athlete.
Right.
When you find that purpose, and again, I attest to that personally. When you find your purpose, it's a powerful thing, especially when something you've done all your life is no longer in the cards. So definitely looking forward to talking to David and getting him involved and engaged with some of these young guys.
Cool. We're going to have to talk to Aaron Taylor, too, because this is the second or third time he's come up from different people. Sounds like a great guy. I feel he's someone that we're going to have to find our way to talk to him at some point.
I will give him a call and say, hey,
cool.
You got to give him a show. I'm telling you now, phenomenal interview.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, he is like one of the most engaging guys you'll ever meet.
Awesome.
Yeah, we want to bring him. The stories that have come up have been from his being just some genuine person that cares. Your story complements the story from Malik Zaire. I feel like so perfectly that it stuck out to me. So we'll have to reach out to him.
So after the bear hug, what happens after the bear hug?
We go down and beat Penn State. No, so we actually we do that, and actually I catch a 2-point conversion. But he makes the point of saying that he is the reason I caught that 2-point conversion because he missed his block. Because you got to say,
that's why Meyer rolled out, huh?
At all. I was not in the progression at all.
Yeah.
And Aaron was like the left guard, and he lost his block, and Rick Meyer got flush right instead of being able to sit back and be able to go left. So he had one place to throw, and we had 3 receivers to the left, and there was only 2 of us on the right.
Right.
And Rick talks that. So AT always makes the point of saying that he's the reason I got one of the all-time plays of Notre Dame history because he missed his block. So I have to thank him.
Does he take credit of anything? Take credit of other things that you've done? You got a lot of records over there. Is he trying to take too much credit? Maybe.
Well, some of it, like he blocked quite a bit, so he can take some credit for
he put a few people on the backsides.
Yeah,
absolutely.
He covered my butt many a day.
Yeah. And speaking of that, what was your most memorable Coach Holtz moment?
Oh, my freshman year. So the freshmen would come in the week before the upperclassmen. And again, you got to understand, like I said, Coach Holtz, darn good recruiter. He was in the house, doing the magic tricks, parents, oh yeah. And so, we ran the football, as we all know, under Coach Holtz. Passing was not even, it wasn't the second option. It was more like a non-option. So we were going to run the football. So, I was at running back coming in. So you had to play a defensive position and offensive position. Coach Holtz is big on recruiting athletes. So we're running the ball, and, it was just me and Dorsey Levens. And you can get tired. It's only a handful of guys. So we were just going back, play after play. He said I went the wrong way. And this little fella lost his mind. I mean, I turn around, come back, and he's in my face cussing me up one side down the other. And all I can think was, is this the same dude that was in my mom telling me how great I was? I don't know this guy. Because, it was just like, dude, what are you doing? I'm thinking, is he really talking to me this way? I was at a loss because it's like, I'd never, being recruited by him, he was never upset.
Huh.
And I'm thinking, what happened to the guy that was in my mom and dad's living room telling me this is not that guy. I want to go home. And that just always sticks out to me because this is like, we're like, 2 days in, 2 or 3 days in, and he went off. Went off, and I'm like, whoa, what the hell did I get myself into? But it was good because I learned to understand, don't listen to what he says, not how he says it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was a lesson learned, but it was a definite shock to the system, and I had a pretty, cantankerous coach in high school, but dang, I was like, whoa, so over the top. And like I said, again, I love Coach Holtz and respect him, but man, I thought about it. Like I said, I need to go home. I don't belong here. This is not for me.
It's cold. I'm getting yelled at.
I'm going to take that quote, though. I'm going to use that quote from on my son. It's not how you. Well, now I'm blowing the quote because I'm so stupid.
It's
These
like
interviews.
It's what you say, not how you say it.
It's what you say, not how you say it. Yeah, that's a good one. I got to use that one. I got to remember it before I can use it.
Yeah, you got to separate too, because because Coach Holtz kind of mellowed out over the years, but he could cuss you up. He could cuss you something fierce.
Yeah,
and that was never fun. Getting the ass chewing by Lou was not where. That's not where you wanted to be.
No.
I have a problem with authority. I don't know that I could. I don't know what I would do in that scenario.
What was crazy is like this dude was so small and he had such a commanding presence. Oh, we had some big fellas.
Yeah.
And he intimidated everybody.
Oh, wow.
Except maybe my brother. My brother. But that's the only person I've seen that really ever talked back to Coach Holtz. Just like literally, you avoided this man like the plague because in practice, you just like don't screw up so he don't come over and yell at me. That's literally all you want to do. I just don't want to mess up so I don't get yelled at.
Oh, this is the
That
part of
literally was your whole
It's
day.
like me growing up.
It's like, just don't mess up, and I won't get yelled at.
Yeah.
This is where if we had the budget, we would flash a bunch of like clips of Lou Holtz just cursing
Yeah.
up a storm, like with a little montage. It would be really good.
This is turned into big-time wrestling. Look like Hulk Hogan going after the referee. He's still out.
Because he was just woo for a little fella. I mean, he was so high energy.
Yeah.
He was like constantly on the move, and it's just like, dude, you need to go sit down somewhere before you hurt yourself.
Does he bring that
All
same
that
energy?
coffee.
Yeah. Does he bring that same energy to Holtz's Heroes?
Oh yeah, I mean So we this is like I said years later. We played a game in alumni game in Japan. He was the head coach, and
Wow.
so we had a lot of younger guys come and play. And I told the guys that didn't play for Coach Schultz, understand this: if you go somewhere, be at the very least 5 minutes early. At the least.
Yeah.
Because he will leave your ass in a heartbeat. And when you do something, don't screw it up. Pay attention, because he can go from 0 to 100 so fast. And again, they were like, "Oh man, Coach Holtz, yay, little guy." Man, he gets so fired up. And this is like in 2009. No, this is 2009 or 2009. Boy, these guys, they were like, oh, what?
No clue.
Yeah, no clue. I was like, I tried to warn y'all. And then he was constantly throwing people out of practice. Oh yeah, he would. I'm like, yeah. And the guy was like, but because again, he'll throw you out, but you got to keep going back in because
Yeah.
And one run back, he was like, I can't go back. I was like, dude, I'll tell you when to go back in. I got you. Like when he throws you out, it's very disheartening to say the least. I mean,
the walk of shame.
He didn't just say get out. I mean, he lets you have it, and then you got to get out. I remember one time practicing, he literally got pissed off at the whole team, kicked us off the field, the whole team, and we were like, "Oh, let's pick it back up. We, pick up the pace and get it going." And we tried to keep practice going. He literally made us go back into the locker room, start practice over from the beginning.
Wow.
I'm going to use that with my kids.
We're learning a lot here. A lot of strategies we're learning here.
Again, when you know better, do better. So, traumatizing your children, probably not.
Yeah.
They'll be considered triggers. You're triggering them now. So I found out much later that I was traumatized by my coach. So, I hear him, I get triggered. Because we were it was at the 25th anniversary of the 88 championship. And, guys were there with their wives and girlfriends, hanging out. Coach Holtz walks into the room. I mean, guys stepping it up, came to attention. And the wives and girlfriends was like, what the hell is wrong with you? I mean, like everybody just like, they were putting their drinks down. Hey, Coach, how you doing, Coach? And this is, like I said, these are, 30, 40-year-old men and just still got that type of, impact on you. So
it's impressive.
Yes, it is.
When I met him at it was the Virginia game. And in talking with him, I'm like, Coach, one of my dreams would just be to play for you, even if it would just be to, for one practice. He's like, you really didn't want that.
He is exactly right. No, you did not want that. I mean, it's like, I'm thinking back, what the heck were we thinking playing for this man? He was crazy. And we we would just do. So again, going from Notre Dame to the pros, we were like in the military. You talk to guys from other teams and, stuff they were doing. He didn't play. It was like, man, I'm like, we were definitely traumatized. Again, but it set a precedence of how close we are.
Right.
And, and again, I think I think it was purposeful. He pitted us against him to make us closer.
Right.
So we got a bunch of guys, again, that will do anything for any of the guys that played under him to this day and do anything for their children. And, a lot of the lessons that he taught us with regard to, be accountable, do the right thing, show people you care.
Yeah.
And, I was wondering, so is that what you were doing, showing us you care when you ripped into my ass?
A real funny way of showing it.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if I like you caring about me so much. I don't care so much next time, Coach.
Yeah.
But it's amazing to see where we are today and the perspectives that we have. And a lot of it is, again, just a lot of life lessons we still use today, and it came from our time at Notre Dame. I mean, it was such a formative period in our lives that, it built, lasting relationships to this day.
And keeps building them too. It keeps making new ones and forming new ones. And like you said, people, you never know who from the network is going to have an influence on your life one way or the other. It's really neat. Yeah. Thank you so much for giving us so much of your time tonight.
No, I had a blast. Again,
great.
Big ups to Better Life. Again, it comes back to like just showing people you care, being there, and just taking the time to step up for each other, and that's what Notre Dame instilled in us, and that's what it's about. Just show people you care, and just be there for one another. And actually, I commend you guys because again, have this type of platform and still have this connection with each other. It is very heartening for me to see that because again, it lets me know that Notre Dame family is still functioning as it should.
Well, on that note, thank you so much. This has been great. We can be any help to you or any service, like we said, please don't be shy to reach out. Or if our platform can help in any way, and anybody that's watching, please take a second to go to check out the URL below and go to the Monogram Club. And if you can help contribute, that would be even better. So thank you everybody. Thanks for watching. Thank you, Mr. Brooks. Thank you, Reggie, for coming. This has been the best. Speak up. Don't be quiet out there, right? Yep. Make sure you speak up.
Yep.
And listen to what I say and not how I say it.
Yep, there you go. There you go. Perfect. Well, Reg, man, appreciate your time. Appreciate you taking the time out, speaking with us, getting a lot of these issues that are very important, very relevant out on the table, and continuing the fight. That's the one thing that's important, and that's the one thing that we want to, push out there to people that are watching and people who are looking to get involved.
Awesome. Yep. Enjoy. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And then next time we're playing a Madden game, I want to take on a champ.
I got you.
Yeah.
Only way I'll have any luck playing any kind of sport against you, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And I know luck's the right thing. A chance, I mean to say. All right, great. Thank you, guys. Go Irish.
Go Irish.